Hi, everybody. Welcome to Emerge Healing and Wellness. I'm so excited to be back here from vacation. I feel like I've been gone a really long time. So my name is Laura Mazzotta. I am the Akashic therapist, and I am a healing guide for women to really create their own wellness plans when they're in a space of negativity or medical or mental illness. And if you haven't been here before, I love it if you guys can like and heart and share this out. I have Danielle Hope Wolfe with me today, and I'm very excited to have her here. She is a good friend and colleague, and we got lots of goodness coming up. So,
yay, thank you.
You're welcome. Danielle is a psychic medium. She's a medical intuitive. She's got a whole list of stuff she's got going on. Nurse, a spiritual teacher, and an author. Who just first book.
Yay!
Later on. So I'm really excited because we're actually both part of a book club called Journaling Junkies Through the Healing Space, and we're going to be doing Danielle's book next, starting book in the flesh. That's so exciting.
I know. I'm so excited.
So just giving you a little bit of an idea of the services that she offers. She offers mediumship services where you can connect with people who have crossed over. She does psychic readings and offers spiritual guidance and advising. She holds 2 mediumship certifications in addition to her registered nurse license. And she is here to share all of the goodness about how she got to that place, her journey, and why she is so phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show. You are absolutely amazing. I adore every single little ounce and drop of you.
Hang out for an hour today. So exciting.
I know. First, before we start, is there a way that I can share this?
So you would need to share it, I think, from your phone.
Oh, from my phone?
Pull it up on the Emerge Healing and Wellness page.
Okay.
And then just share it from there. And while Danielle is sharing, if everybody else wants to share, that would be fabulous and amazing. Oh, look.
Heck yeah.
Hi.
Okay, just give me 2 quick seconds, and then I am so excited to talk and share.
Thank you, Kenzel, for sharing. You love. I love seeing you, and thanks for the kisses and the butterflies. Hi, Raylyn. Raylyn's here with us, Danielle.
Hi, Ray. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay, let's see.
Because she's here. We can't talk about her because she's right in front of us.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, I just started it.
Yeah. Okay. Shared it out? Cool.
I shared it out.
All right.
Oh, yay.
Go
awesome.
Tell us about your journey, my friend.
Okay, so how it all started, right? Well, so as a child, I kind of always knew that there was something going on. I didn't really have a great spirit connection, but I was told when I was a kiddo that my family kind of had this ability to tell when people were going to die. I kind of shoved it away, and I did have experiences while I was growing up where I would have loved ones come to me in dreams and tell me that they were going to pass away. And when those situations actually occurred and my loved one died, I would freak out because I thought that maybe there was something I was doing that was causing it, right? As a kid, those irrationalities. So I kind of shut everything off and then went about my life, got married, had kids, went to nursing school, lived the dream. And I would have kind of intermittent things happen, but I just kind of would roll with it. And then my brother passed away about 5 years ago, and within about a year of that, I was diagnosed with MS. So I had like 2 big whammies that really knocked me like to my knees in life. So through those experiences and just learning and trying to figure out how to regroup, how to start my life over again, because I had, I basically lost the ability to walk for a little while, didn't really have a lot of help. It was really kind of a difficult time in transition. So fortunately, my husband was, we were able to move and kind of really change our lives, really. And so from there, things kind of started opening up. I started having these really paranormal experiences all the time, and I couldn't shut them down. Before, I could be like, I don't want this, and it would go away. Now it was coming. I was seeing things. I was hearing things. My family was too. I mean, things like I almost called an electrician because the lights were burning out at such a rapid rate. I thought we had an electrical problem. Yeah, right. So finally I went and saw a medium, and she was like, this is your brother, and he's here, and this isn't something to be feared. And he wants you to know that you have an ability to communicate with others, and your life is never going to be the same, essentially. Wow. And from that moment, I was all in. I was a grasshopper. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to be able to communicate with my loved ones. But throughout that process, I learned that there's a massive undertaking of healing that needs to occur before you're ready to deliver this type of information and these types of messages.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're not, your ego, which ego is beautiful. I'm not dissing my ego. I love her very much. But ego can get in the way of the message sometimes. And so it's really important to go through this healing process and make sure that you jump on the healing experiences when you have the opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I got there, and I kind of got thrust into mediumship. So I just really enveloped myself in classes and learning as much as I could and studying and philosophy of it, and the whole world opened up. I didn't know there was such a beautiful, amazing spiritual world out there, and beautiful, amazing teachers. So I had these really awesome teachers. It was great. I took an 18-week certification course, and it was a lot of readings, a lot of work. A lot of times I wanted to quit, like a lot of people, because it's facing a lot of darkness and a lot of fear. And this realm of life, you can't have that kind of fear and not be able to move through it. You have to be able to go and to move through it. So I started doing mediumship. It was great. Everything was awesome. It's like Raylan put Danielle, www.Danielle Hope Wolfe Psychic Medium. It's DanielleHopeWolfe.com. But I love that. She's so sweet. I love you, Ray. So I just really kind of got into it. I've been doing it now for, 4 years or so, 3-4 years, really enveloped in it. And then the medical intuition just kind of fell in. And I just kind of always thought it's just because of my frame of reference. Like, really, it's whatever we put our awareness into and what we choose to learn. And so for me, I just had that frame of reference because the medical stuff I loved, and I really enjoyed being a nurse. But with my lifestyle change and my condition, it just really wasn't suitable for me to continue doing anymore.
Yeah, I do. When you started doing the work for yourself, to heal yourself before you started practicing, you find that your physical symptoms got worse or were exacerbated, or, what was your experience that way?
So it's really funny because I was having the same year that I was hit with I want to say it was year 2 of MS. So when you first get hit with a chronic condition, everyone's just trying to struggle to get you back to maintenance. It's not really about let's find a long-term plan. It's like, let's get you to baseline now, and then we'll figure it out from there. And so I was having a lot of symptoms and changing a lot of medications and having a lot of relapses because I wasn't in tune enough with the energy of my body to know when I need to slow down or when I need to sit down, and then my mind didn't want to listen to it. So I really had poor health for those first 2 years while I was in mediumship too. But the really amazing thing was when I learned the spiritual hygiene practices, then my symptoms started to get better.
Yeah, see, I love that. And I love that you call it hygiene, because that's exactly what it is. It's like brushing our teeth, taking a bath, because if I'm not consistent, I'm a mess. I mean, sometimes I'm a mess anyway. But, for the most part, it really is hygiene. It's necessary to keep ourselves running.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I'm exactly I do really, really well, and I'm feeling great. And I'm like, oh, I can skip yoga today. I'm feeling good. And then it'll be like, oh, I can eat that cheeseburger today. I'm feeling good. And then eventually you kind of recognize like, whoa, I'm not feeling as good as I was a few weeks ago. I need to circle back.
Yeah.
And kind of start over. And that's what the whole beauty is in that spiritual practice, is that we can take that, okay, my body's communicating to me that I'm not doing something right. Something's not in balance. Something's triggering, whether it's environmental or whether it's stress or whether it's a chronic illness or an inflammatory process or, but it's really about learning to pay attention to your energy and honoring and listening to your energy the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, like with the spiritual practice, with the spiritual hygiene, I had a really amazing teacher that was teaching me about protecting and shielding, and not for fear, but for energy protection. Because, when people are spiritually awakening, they're wide open and their auras are out to China, and they're taking in every single emotion that they walk past, and they're giving to all of the energy vampires. And so I feel like the very first most important thing that I learned in spiritual hygiene was learning to manage your energy, because it's your responsibility what you give out and what you let in.
Yeah.
And that was the first step in learning to listen to my body in the same manner. And so it kind of collectively goes together.
Yeah. And I love the way that you did it too, because, it's like you're drawn to, I was certainly drawn to this work and to this journey because I was sick, so I was already physically vulnerable, right? And then we open up the spiritual awakening path, which is, there's a lot of ups and downs. It's not always pretty, right? There's opening up that old crap that you have to work through. And that can make you vulnerable. So you're like extra vulnerable during this state. So yes, it makes sense that I'm so glad that who you went to at the beginning taught you how to contain it so that you didn't go downhill.
Yes. Yeah. I've been so blessed to have such really great teachers in that. Lillian Suarez, Lou Ann Beecher, and Melissa Kubias. Those are the three that really started teaching me about that energy protection. And it was so crazy because I was having visual disturbances. I actually had gotten to the point that I couldn't drive by myself because I would think that my depth perception was really off. So I would think that things were a lot closer than they were. And I still kind of do every now and then with my husband, and he's like, but when I started doing the mediumship, I had that. And then I would have this insane shooting pain every time I would step from my heels. It would shoot from my heels up into my armpits. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like to the point that I was like walking around almost kind of on my tippy toes, like I didn't. So, I mean, it was really affecting me physically. I mean, it wasn't just every now and then, it was all the time. And when I started doing the grounding, bubbling, shielding, protecting, pulling my aura in, pulling my energy in, closing down those chakras on the bottom of my feet, I just had a different perception. Like as a healthcare professional, I'm like, yeah, was that really caused by open chakras? And so like the Western medicine side of me wants to be like, but then the spiritual side of me wants to say, why couldn't it be?
Right. So I love that you brought that up too, because that's, I think, one of the big struggles, especially when people are feeling having medical health issues or mental health issues, that they're caught between this, Western medicine perspective, right? And then our own ability and power to heal, and how much of this is like woo-woo stuff. And you're somebody who's in both fields, right? You're actually physically going back and forth between the two of them. So how do you handle that? Like, what's that like for you?
Like you're the same. You're the same. Yeah. It's challenging from time to time. I do think that I'm more skeptical now than I was before I was in this world. Which is kind of weird, right? Like I believe in it more, but I'm more skeptical of what people are giving me, because I feel like it's so important to be able to own your power within that energy And I feel like before I stepped into this, I would give away my power because I'd want to go to a psychic and say, tell me what it's going to be like. Is everything going to be okay? And if they didn't say everything was going to be okay, then now I'm devastated and it's not going to be okay. And now I'm putting that energy out into the world and I just gave somebody my power, right? Like that doesn't work. And it's the same with healthcare, right? So when I first started this, I didn't actually go to medical intuition. Medical intuition came to me. So it kind of started out with friends would be like, hey, I had this person who came and they had medical problems and I told them about you. And I'm like, I don't do that. What are you talking about? And they're like, yes, you do. Come on. And I'm like, okay. So it kind of just came. And then, so at first it's evolved and it's always going to evolve, just like mediumship does. Like it started out with me just trying to be psychic and tell you what's wrong, right? And saying like, this is what's wrong with you. And then it kind of evolved to, that's a little egoic in my book. Like, I would like to have this be, like I talked about before in previous interviews, like an interdisciplinary approach where I want to know what your doctors are saying. I want to know what labs you've had done. I want to know what your symptoms are. I want to hear you. I want to hear your experience. I want to know what's going on. But at the same time, I'm using my medical intuition and I'm asking my guides to connect with your guides to deliver whatever information is for your highest good that you can do within your skin, within your body to make this situation better. I'm not here to say like, you have cancer, go get checked out right now, and now you're cured and everything's awesome and better. Because you and I both know there is such a deeper level, right? Like everything is energy. And when the physical body starts to break down, that's after years of something, right? Like,
yeah.
So you have to go back to those years and you have to start dissecting those years so that you can get to the root, because oftentimes we don't even know what the root is.
Right. Well, and I think that what I like about this path is that empowerment that you were talking about, but really trusting that I know my body better than anybody.
Yes.
Any doctor who has scanned me, because I know that even if somebody says, oh, you don't have a dairy intolerance or you don't have a this or that, I know how I feel. I know how I feel when I react to something. I know, and being able to trust our intuition, really, that's one of my biggest goals in my role is to help people become their own advocate, their best advocate. Yes. To be able to say like, okay, you say this isn't an issue, but then this, and this happen consistently when I eat this or do this or whatever. And being able to trust and state, yes. No, I know I'm in tune with me and that just feels wrong.
Right. Right. But you have to be in a mental space that you can do that too, because I have as well been in situations, and I have as a healthcare provider been like, that person's crazy. And I've passed judgment when I'm like, there's nothing wrong. The labs look great. Like this person just wants to be sick. And I hate to admit it, but as a healthcare professional, hi, Robbie. It's the same thing. So you have to have the mental clarity. So you have to make sure that your mental health is first, and then you start tackling your physical health, because they're so intertwined and so interlaced that you'll tilt, and then you'll give them the opportunity to judge you.
Yeah. And so there you go. You just gave me an aha moment too, because I feel like, I've looked at this path for myself really as, a form of healing. And it is, obviously.
Oh, totally.
Big time. Because I've made so much more progress with this than anything else. Mm-hmm. But it's also in a very simple way, just about building my intuition in its most basic sense, right? Because if I develop my intuition, then I'm more in tune with, is this my mindset or is this my body? Is this medication that they're giving me something that feels good for me or not? And if I wasn't in tune with my intuition, I wouldn't be able to clearly answer those questions, because I'd be in this confusing, like I was at the beginning. This doctor's saying this, this doctor's saying that. And, I went from, okay, I'm super dependent on the medical field because I was like,
right.
in dire straits and couldn't walk. And I was like, what are you going to do for me?
Yes.
And then I went to like thinking that they sucked. And like,
totally.
It pissed me off. And I was so angry and I didn't trust anything any of them said.
It's part of the grieving process. It's like the 5 stages of grief. And that is actually, because you're psych, that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross created that for terminally ill patients. It wasn't intended for the grief process of the family members. It was intended for the ill. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's exactly that same thing. I'm like, yes, oh my God, it's the 5 stages of grieving that we go through within our health practice as well.
Yeah, and I would cut you off twice. Don't worry about it. You can always interrupt me. But yeah, and so I think now what I've done, so I went from like all medical to like all energetic and spiritual, and now I'm like, oh, they can work together. This is a nice little marriage here. And that's what you were saying. You'd like them to work in tandem with one another because they do really work beautifully together. Because for the medical field, I would not be alive right now.
Exactly.
I would not be here anymore if it were not. So they saved me, and they continue to with the infusions I get and things like that.
Yes.
It's not everything.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And I had a really nice conversation with my MS specialist about this on my last visit, like 6 months ago, because I'm in a really great place physically at the moment. And I have been for some time. And that's the thing. I was like, I don't know if I want to continue the medication. And he's like, why wouldn't you? He's like, I understand that yoga is great and it's helping you get into the mindset that you need to. And I understand that you are paying attention and you lay down when you need to lay down. And I understand that you're watching your diet and you're doing all of the things you need to do. So why not just allow the scientific stuff as well, and let's all work collectively together. And I was like, all right, I'll do it, but I'm only doing it for 1 year. But I was just like you, I was like, I don't want any of it. I don't want any of it. And my husband was like, we have to listen to our spouses too, because they're involved too, and taking their feelings and our family's feelings. And he was like, my biggest fear is that you won't, because I fear that then you'll regret it. And I was like, dang it, you're right. But it's all about that mindset, as Anita Moorjani talks about in Dying to Be Me, such a phenomenal book. And that was really my aha, was like, wait a minute, I don't want to be chronically ill and I don't want to identify with it. And I'm not going to ignore my shit, because I went through that too, where I ignored it. And I'm like, I'm just not going to get my labs, and I'm just not going to do anything. And I'm fine. And I've been fine for 8 months. And then boom, then I'm hit with a relapse. And my doctor's like, well, why didn't you get your labs? And I'm like,
that's so funny. You and I have the same journey. I mean, same thing. I was in full on I'm sick mode, right?
Yes.
Full on victim mode when I first did this, and I was shot for, however many months. And then I was like, no, I am not going to be defined by this. No. So
I'm going to fight it, right?
I am coming back. I am not sick.
Yeah.
And then I kept getting sick, and I'm like, why am I sick? I'm not sick,
Yeah.
And so again, it's that, okay, let me accept where I am.
Yes. I was literally going to say that I was saying it in my head. It's accepting and honoring your body where you are right now, right in this moment. And it's listening to it. And if you're having anxiety, there's a reason you're having anxiety. Yes, there are severe mental health conditions that absolutely need intervention and need help. We know that. And I am not here to say spirituality fixes everything. Spirituality gets you on the road that you need to fix yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't fix you. I don't fix you. You don't fix your clients. We hold a space and we love them in a space where they can be accountable.
Right. They have to be motivated to do it for themselves.
We can lead them to the water, and they can choose to drink it or not. And that's where it goes. And it's so hard, right? Because we do encounter people that really are sick with cancer and terminal cancer and these really tragic situations. And sometimes we just don't know why. And I remember it was really profound. We used to attend church like quite a bit before my awakening. I still love church, but we used to attend church. And I remember one time somebody said to my pastor, well, if God is real, then why do these things happen? And he just stopped in front of the congregation of like 4,000 people and was like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how profound that he was like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But what I can tell you is that God is mighty and he doesn't make mistakes. So we may not see the answer, but at some point there's a reason. And when we pass away, when it's our time to have our meeting on the afterlife, we'll understand. Right. But all we can do at this point is try to do our best and be our best and try to live our best to whatever that authentic zone is.
Right. And trust will get us where we need to be, where we're supposed to bring the people and the situations into our lives that are supposed to be challenges or steps on our path. And like, my health has been kind of sucky lately. And I just keep saying to myself over and over again, this is all occurring for my highest good. And I know that, but there's a reason for it, that I'm supposed to be feeling this way right now. Yeah. It sucks, but whoever said that the spiritual path or human life or anything was supposed to be perfection? It's not necessarily, but I think that who we are with our intuition, and the more that we kind of know ourselves and like know our souls and that path, right? And that, the more that we can ride out those phases better. Yeah. Just seeing them as dips and blips on the radar rather than
exactly. It's a mountain, right? Like we're not making mountains out of molehills. Like we're turning mountains into molehills is what we're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's all about, and I always think that, like, I always think how important it is to just, even in the midst of the really crap times, like last week, I had one of the most emotionally charged weeks I've had in probably 5 years. I mean, it was since my brother died, really. I mean, it was raw, it was real, it was painful, and it did not feel good. And I spent a good few days just crying, and people, I feel like people from my old life, will make comments and posts and things about, oh, your life is so perfect and you've got it all figured out now and all these things are happening. And I'm like, man, that's why I try to make sure I get on and say, like, sometimes life sucks. Yep. And the spiritual journey is actually, when you first jump in, it's probably seems more painful than the other way.
Oh, yeah.
Because you didn't know about it.
I talk that all the time. I'm like, it is so much easier to remain depressed, to remain anxious.
And naive.
Traumatized. Yeah, because you're so used to that pattern and you just ride it. So it's like, oh, I'm going to ride this wave, right? That's a lot easier to do, to be honest. It's harder to dig in and say, all right, I'm going to look myself in the mirror and realize that even though I'm pissed at so-and-so for doing something to me, that's really a reflection of what's going on within me.
Where is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of deep work, but that's what I love about it too, is that it gets to a depth that I don't think therapy does.
Yeah. It does. And I feel like it's so important. I actually talk about it in the book. I talk about when you have these moments and you have these experiences and it's not just about marriage. I mean, my experience and my learning was through marriage and my health. Like those have been my big fat like nuggets of learning, right? Like some people have more illness, some people have death, some people have really bad relationships with their parents, whatever, like we have these experiences to grow us and to grow our soul. And we can use the same tools no matter what you're focusing it on, so in there I talk about, like when you get angry and you get triggered at your spouse, but you can apply that to anything in your life. When exactly like Ray says, the healing path is narrow. Like it totally is. Like as long as you pick up these tools and you stick them in your backpack, and then you remember at some point, it doesn't even matter when you remember it, but if you just remember at some point, oh shoot, I've got that in my backpack. Let me pull it out and let me try it and see if it'll help this experience.
Yeah.
And eventually it does. Excuse me. I just totally got on my soapbox and like, wow.
Working on it. Yeah, I mean, I also like what you said earlier about like your old, the people from your old life. And it's so funny that you say it that way, because I feel that way too. I feel like I was such a different person.
Yeah.
And and that's one of the reasons why I chose the name of my business as Emerge Healing and Wellness, because as cheesy as it seems, like for me, I allowed myself to emerge, because it was almost like life is short. Like you know what? I don't, at the beginning I thought, I don't need to explain this. I don't even know what this is, all this energetic and spiritual stuff.
Right.
What the hell is this? But my husband and I kept saying it works. So just keep doing it. Like,
exactly.
It's working. It's helping so much. And then, then obviously the belief and the faith, I was like, wow, this is a real deal,
Yes. So much, so much. And I just, and I feel like whenever people ask, like, whenever people ask about like, well, how do I get into spirituality and how do I get into mediumship, or how do I get into healing, or how do I start to heal myself? I love that. I love it when people say, how do I start to heal myself? It's like, you should have a self-help book with you at all times. Like that's my thing. Like, if you're not working on yourself, then there's no reason for you to do it. Like, there's always another layer. There's always, always, always another layer of healing that can happen. And it's profound healing, because what we're talking about is the deep stuff. We're not talking about the superficial shit like, oh, my husband didn't do the laundry, or, my sister didn't call me when I wanted her to, or we're not talking about the superficial materialistic stuff. We're talking about like that one time when you were 3 years old and your dad left.
Yeah.
What did that do for you? Like, we're talking about like, how did that subconsciously affect your relationships moving forward?
Right. And that's exactly it, because I think some people who are not advocates of this path are kind of like, oh, why would I dredge up the past if I'm like fine and whatever, why would I do that? And, I'm not saying everybody in the entire world has to, but I also know that, like you just said, it impacts our relationships. It impacts us at a subconscious level, and it could be building in a way that we don't even know about. And there's literally no way in hell that if you experience a trauma before age 7, that you're not going to have some kind of subconscious or cellular impact. And so it's like, okay, I mean, what's that going to turn into? Well, it depends on the person. It depends on their path, but why not? And it's not, let's dredge it up so we can sit in it and, oh, poor me. Oh my God.
Right. Let's not sit in victim. Like, let's acknowledge it.
It's like, bring it up, acknowledge it, appreciate it, forgive it, release it, and use it as a tool to move the hell on and have a great life going forward.
Exactly. And, it's so funny that you say this, and I'm going to be totally real and honest and share a very vulnerable experience. I took my son to therapy because, I took him to therapy. It was pre-awakening. It was just before my brother died. So I was like in the rat race. Like, I was all in. All I cared about was how things looked on the outside. I cared about my kids getting good grades. I did, I was very much like in society, like running.
Yeah.
And, we went in, and the therapist looked at me, and you can appreciate this. And he said, I'd like to see you. Exactly. And I was like, and literally, this is my response. My skeletons are all very well organized in my closet, and I don't feel like pulling them out today. Right?
Yes.
And that's how I felt. Yeah. However, I didn't even know it, but I was creating an illness within myself by holding on to the anger, by resenting my parents for shit that they did when they were 19 years old. Like, tell me what 19 and 20-year-old hasn't done some kind of crazy stuff that they regret, or, but I held these things for 39 years. Well, maybe it was 36 years, but I held these things for almost my entire life. And I didn't even know, like, I had this aha moment in the middle of reading Mark Wollen's book. holy shit. Like I set the bar of expectations so high for my parents that they didn't have a choice but to fail because I resented them for not paying attention to me and not knowing that their decisions would affect my life.
It's so beautiful that you can recognize that, though. I mean, that's what's so awesome about the path of healing.
Exactly. But you have to go through the pain to get there. And it took me, I mean, I was literally reading the book and I'm like, I am trying to forgive them. Like, why can't I let this go? Like, these are like, I'm like, I try every day of my life. Like, why can't I let this go? I just want to let this go. And it was like, boom, all of a sudden, it was like, well, this is why. Oh, so you have to feel the pain. You have to allow it to come up. And when it starts to bubble and you get a flash of that memory, don't just shove it back down. You've got to be like, oh, my subconscious mind and my conscious mind are communicating right now. Yeah. And my conscious mind is saying, you're ready for this now. Yeah. You can now acknowledge this and put a story to it. And as soon as you can put a story to it, and a good story, a factual story, the actual real truth, like they talk about in Radical Forgiveness, the centrifuge, right? Like pull away your assumptions and your narrative that you're filling in and just look at the facts. Like my parents were 19 and 22. I mean, like, how could they have possibly known all of the things that I assumed that they should have known as an adult? You know, like, come on, you've got to put the facts where, like, they did the best they could and they tried and they survived, right? And look where you are now. Like, things weren't always awesome, things weren't always great, but they sure did try. And there was a lot of love there, even if it wasn't the way that you wanted as you were growing up. You know, like, forgive it, allow it to come up, acknowledge it. Yeah, that really damn hurt. It hurt really bad and it really messed me up for a long time. And now I'm here to say no more.
Yeah, and I think appreciating, like you were saying, you know, like when our subconscious brings it up, don't just stuff it down. That, you know, I know what I used to go through was like, oh, why does this keep coming up for me? Why can't I just, like, I already processed therapy. I already processed this, you know, a million times through my journal or whatever it was, you know, but appreciating that when it comes up, it is that message of you are in a space now where you're ready to heal this at a different level.
Yes.
At a different level or in a different way and it doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing. I mean, it can be, honestly, if you attend to it, then it's not going to nag you as much, right? Acknowledge it, journal about it, meditate on it, talk about it, whatever it is, and then release and move on. But if you're ignoring, it's just going to keep building. And then it's going to knock harder at your door and you're going to get smacked in the face by either a medical illness or something else.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, it doesn't make sense to be so stressed out. You know what I mean? Like, if I've learned anything about the spiritual journey, it's like, take a step back. Like, nobody's against you. There might be people that don't really want to see your light because sometimes people that have a light that shines is painful. Hi, Sherry. And that's okay. And I talk about that so much in the book too. Like, you get to this place spiritually where those things don't hit you so hard anymore because you just recognize, like, you're having a bad day or you're having a bad life.
Right.
You know, hey man, next go around, I hope it's better for you. Like, and you move on, you know, like, yes, there are things that pull us down and tie us down, but we have to allow ourselves to just be patient and sit with it. And something that I really learned in the last like 6 months with this whole book writing process and healing with my family and all of this stuff is sometimes your physical body feels the anxiety and feels the craziness because it's like the toddler inside of us needs that nurturing and needs that love and attention. And that's the only way we can do it, right? Like, so instead of being pissed at our body and starting to be angry with it because we're not being able to do all the things that we did last week, like, we need to sit with that baby and hold it, right? Like, you can't force your toddler.
That's literally what my weekend was, Danielle. Because that's exactly what I wrote in my journal. Like, I feel like a needy FUCK, right?
Oh.
Because I was so sick. And I was like, yeah. And I literally said those exact words. It's like I have a toddler tantruming inside of me who's saying like, give me love, give me nurture. So I'm like, all right, I'll give you all the love you need. I loved myself up this weekend.
Good.
And so really listening to that. But I do feel that way, that my body is having a temper tantrum.
That's literally, and that's how I feel too. Like, I'm like, okay, you're talking to me. You're getting my attention. I'm listening now.
Yeah.
But always before I would be like, God damn it. Why is my legs aren't working? And why isn't this working? And why can't I do what I could do before? And that's that victim consciousness.
Yeah.
Instead of saying,
again, if my kid was sick again, sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, it's good.
If my kid was sick again, I'd be like, oh, honey, I'm sorry. Like, I'd be so compassionate. But with myself, I'm like, why the hell do you still have to lay down? Like, what's wrong with you? You're so weak, blah, blah, blah. You know, and you have to like turn that off.
That I was talking to my book coach. My book coach she's phenomenal. And she's just recently gone through some really difficult stuff in her life and the loss of her mother. And she's young. And she said to me something that was so profound, and I needed it for that whole next week. She said, it really takes a lot of time and energy to self-coach and self-talk.
Oh.
And I was like, I think she said self-motivate, I think was what she said, but she has very good verbiage, communication. Yeah. But I was like, it does. And I even came back that next week and I told my husband, I said, I love you so much. And I know that you're kind of going through your stuff right now too. It's been like that Lionsgate thing, I think. Like everyone's been going through massive stuff this month.
Yeah.
And I said, I am going into a space right now where I don't have the energy to carry you and me both. Mm-hmm. And I am going to do everything that I can, but I have to listen to my body and I have to honor me. So please don't be upset, and please understand that I have to lay in bed a little bit because I have to self-talk. I have to self-coach because I'm in that space where I want to be a victim. And so I have to coach myself out of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And he totally like stepped back into his role. So I feel like that's part of that communication and that spiritual partnership too, to be able to step forward in vulnerability and say, look, and to do that to ourselves, to be able to say, okay, I need this time. I'm not feeling right. I'm not going to feel guilty that the dishes aren't done. I'm not going to feel guilty that, the kids had to make themselves breakfast today. I'm not going to feel guilty for these things, because guilt is shame, and you're shaming yourself for being sick. You're not going to shame your 6-month-old baby for having a fever and tell her, get up and start crawling around. Why aren't you acting normal?
Exactly.
Right? Like, we have to nurture and love that baby because it's basically right here. We hold it the same way we hold a newborn baby.
Yeah. And what I tell my clients too is, anxiety is relentless.
Totally.
Is relentless. That inner is relentless. So you need to be just as relentless with your self-talk, with your motivation, with your affirmations, whatever it is that your spiritual hygiene, because it's just, otherwise it's gonna beat you out, because that's been there for decades, man.
Right.
Maybe lifetimes.
Yes.
From other people, from other generations as well. So, being able to really, you have to be consistent to train yourself out of it. It's just like that book you told me to read, which has a really disturbing cover, by the way.
I know it does. It's very disturbing, but it gets your attention.
Yeah. Anyway, love yourself like your life depends on it.
So good.
About that, like, those negative thoughts and that criticism as being like water that erodes the earth, that, if we have the same stream that goes in the same pattern, it's going to erode the earth.
Yep.
So that's what's happened. And it's become ingrained in us over these years or lifetimes or what have you.
Yeah.
And so, retraining yourself, and what he's saying is, I love myself. I love myself. You can pick any affirmation. It doesn't have to be that one, but, almost filling that in, right?
Yep.
Filling that erosion and kind of building it back up again and nurturing it and creating a new pathway.
So true. So accurate. So accurate. I feel exactly that same way. I do. And I talk about that in my book too. And I actually talked to Kamal Ravikant He's a phenomenal person. Yeah. He's actually like, I messaged him I like commented or something and he replied like to my comment or, and then we emailed back and forth a few times. Like he's really down to earth, really nice guy. And does the work.
Yeah.
Right? Like does the work. And he, I got a lot of inspiration from him early in my healing process. About not looking in the mirror and being, just being like, oh, why are you so ugly? And why are you so fat and like I talk to myself like that most of my life. And so, I mean, like, the way that I started to stop was I just was like, okay, don't look in the mirror. Just ignore it. Like, I just don't look in the mirror. Like, just do what you have to do and don't criticize yourself.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, oh, you have nice ankles. Ah, okay, cool. I've got nice ankles. So I would literally be like, you have nice ankles. You have nice ankles. You have nice ankles. Like, until you get to this space of, I love you and I accept you, whether you're 200 pounds or 100 pounds, and you're still a beautiful person. It doesn't matter. Like, stop looking externally for validation because you will never find it.
I always say, now we're going to move on to your book and the medical intuition reading.
Yes, I know we're getting.
Oh, and I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, no. Ooh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault because I tried to throw other things in there. See?
It's medical intuition and the book.
Yeah, let's do the medical intuition in the book. And then if I think about it, I'll tell you later what it is.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Oh, I lost my pen. Where did it go? Hang on one second. I think I lost my pen.
Okay. The pen.
I lost my pen.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I'm going to grab another pen because my pen literally disappeared. It's gone. I don't know where it went. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No worries. So I was talking about something that I totally don't remember. Raylan, what was I talking about? You can remind me, can't you? Oh, I don't know if you're focused today. My mind's a little stunted today.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I didn't have my pajama pants on.
I know. Don't you love that? Sometimes we can do that when we do this work, right? If we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Okay, so I know, obviously, for those that are watching, I know that I do know some of your medical condition already. I know that you poor dear, you have really been through the ringer. So if there's something that comes up that I know, I'll tell you. Like, I already know this from our conversation, just to give credit where credit is due. Okay? All right, so as I bring my awareness in, so actually what I'll do, so you'll see me down, I'm drawing. So I'm actually going to do my nursing assessment. So I have you here and I've got your little stick figure and I'm going to just do my little nursing assessment. So I know we've talked about your migraines, but as I'm tapping into it, I can feel your migraines and I actually feel like it is, like it almost kind of starts down here and like moves up. And I almost feel like it's like spider veins or something like, and it almost, it's very fuzzy, right? Like it's pain, but I feel like it's dull, but it has like sharp stabs. And then I feel like it makes me fuzzy, right? Like I know that you're saying that you are having some memory stuff kind of going on, but like this makes me fuzzy. Like I feel like not clear. Can you understand this?
Yes.
Okay. And I know that you had mentioned earlier the nausea too, and all of a sudden now I'm definitely feeling that you've got like a great deal of nausea, and there's definitely an inflammatory process going on in your GI tract as well. I do feel like, I know this sounds kind of crazy to say, but I feel like the vibration of riding in the car for long periods of time helped to wear you down faster. So even though it seems like riding in a car isn't that big of a deal or whatever, like the consistent like vibration of being in the motor, like, and then like the tires and like there's just that constant bzzz, like vibration. I feel like that vibration kind of intensified your excitability, like your neurological excitability.
Wow. That makes sense.
Okay. And so I feel like maybe the next time you take some trips, like you might want to put like stopping breaks if you go like on a long driving, like I know you do with your kids. Yeah. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like, okay, mom's been driving in the car for 6 hours. Mom needs to be not in a car for like a night, you know, like you need to be able to break that up, because I really feel like that vibration just like kind of just intensified and magnified everything. And then you're on vacation, you're out of your element. So you're like trying to be relaxed, but you're really not, because you're more aware of what's going on in your surroundings. You're not as naturally comfortable. So I feel like even though vacations are really awesome and wonderful, they tend to drain you as well. Just because of your medical condition. I know you say that, I know you get the infusions, right? Do you get plasma or do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm seeing the white bags. So I just want to.
Yeah, I get.
Okay. 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 Yeah. And I foresee that for a long time. I don't see that ending anytime soon. I do feel like there is another medication that's going to be coming though, that is going to help you feel better. I feel like it actually might be another infusion. And what's interesting is for some reason, they're bringing me to like a low dose chemotherapy or something. Like, I feel like there might be like some kind, and I don't know really a whole lot about your condition. But for some reason, they're bringing me to like maybe some kind of low dose. Like, for example, what they're showing me, I'll tell you what they're showing me. They're showing me my medication that I take, and that's exactly what it is. It's like an old chemotherapy medication.
That's what my, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what they're showing me. So I feel like there might be something like that coming in your near future. Okay. I feel like it's really, really important for you. You need to sleep more. You need more sit down rest. I know that it's hard because you are so busy and you have so much get up and go in you. It's really, really important, like we talked about, to accept where it is and accept like, okay, I've done so much today. What else? I'm good. You know, like instead of being like, oh my God, I didn't get this, and this done, you need to be like, look at what I did get done today and feel proud of the things that you did do today. I feel like maybe if we can like flip that script a little bit, that might help a little bit on the internal side.
Yeah, that's funny. I started that a couple of days ago because I've been so sick, and I'm like, okay, I just need to appreciate and celebrate even the littlest thing that I can get done, because that's where I am right now. And I've been more intuitively drawn to knowing I need more rest. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard. It's so hard.
And then I get more sick. So there you go. I mean, there's the cycle.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly the cycle. And then also I feel like your food intake was very different while you were on vacation. And I feel like that kind of triggered some stuff too. Can you understand that? Or there's something with your food recently? Because I'm feeling like there's something triggering you with food.
I feel like there is too. I just intuitively, I feel like there is.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I feel like it increases your body temperature. This is what I'm feeling. So I'm actually feeling like whatever it is that you're eating is increasing your body temperature. And what that means to me is that it's increasing your pH level. And so I feel like, you know, when you have your increased pH level, you're a little bit too acidotic, right? And then your immune system is super busy focusing on maintaining homeostasis and getting your pH level back into a more neutral range. And so your immune system isn't able to combat the inflammation. I mean, like that's part of your immune system, but it's making your immune system kind of go haywire, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's focusing so much on neutralizing the pH level in your bloodstream, in your body, that it's not really, it's overworked. It's overworked. So it's not able to do the little things to keep every little thing in check down here. And so all these little things that aren't in check are now adding up. Right?
Yeah. Do you know how to find that food? Is it just through muscle testing? Like as I just eat things, or just what I'm intuitively? Because it's interesting because like I've been eating tomatoes more recently, and I had cut out tomatoes for a really long time.
Tomatoes are very high in inflammation. They're very acidic.
So maybe that's because that's the first thing that comes to my mind because it's summer and we have all these gorgeous garden tomatoes that
Amazing tomatoes.
so excited. And so I've been just mixing them into some stuff, those fresh tomatoes.
Oh yeah, actually, on the um, so there is an anti-inflammatory diet. I don't know if you've heard of that, but so they say no nightshades.
Yeah,
and so
I know, of course, because it's everything I love.
I know, me too. Me too. And I feel it. You can feel it. Like I can tell when I eat like a cheeseburger or something, I'm like, oh, I can feel like I almost feel the buzz of my nervous system kind of go on live. So I feel like, listen, I feel like, yeah, muscle test, that's amazing. And oh my gosh, I love, love, love. Oh, she says, oh, ask your body. Yeah, do your yes or no. That's what Ray's saying, right? For sure. So yeah, I think the muscle testing is super helpful. And when you did that, like I totally do it all the time now.
Yeah.
Like, I do it all the time now. Like, okay, yes.
I do this.
You do that one. It's so great. It's so great. So that definitely helps. And then listen to your body when you go into the store, like open up, like, like you would if you were going into the Akashic and just, like open up and then open up your solar plexus and say, guide me to the foods that you want me to eat.
I'll have to wear my sunglasses because I haven't been in a grocery store for about 3 years because the lights set off the tremoring and then I start to tremor.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I have trouble walking and I get really weak and dizzy. Fluorescent lights.
Whoa. Okay, well, even online then, if you're grocery shopping online or whatever,
True.
You can, same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Or farmers markets. Those are always really good too.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like you are very, very food sensitive.
Oh,
I feel big time food sensitive. So I also feel like with that, everything has to be organic with you. Like you can't eat any processed crap because it just it just pulls you below. Like it just really does. And I feel like a lot of that is probably because of the way we were raised, because in the environments that we were raised in, I feel like in the 80s, we probably got more processed food than any other generation.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep going because we're almost done. That was just like a little.
That's fine. That was great. Because the reason that I like to do this for people is because I want people to get an idea of if they booked a session with you, what would it look like, right? And right. So I know that sometimes it's, oh, well, I do this and I do that. But it's, well, what am I, like, once I hit book and I get on with this person via video chat, what's going to happen, Yes. I think that can be daunting for some people because this is such an unknown field sometimes, and people don't know what they're getting into. So not only are they meeting you and getting to know you, but they're able to say, okay, what does this actually look like? So what you're going to do is you're going to have that little body picture and you're going to be doing an assessment. Yeah. And getting an idea of what's going on, what's coming up. And then, I just love that. Thank you for doing that. Cause I love that people can witness what it would look like. So
I appreciate. Let me show you. I'll kind of cover her name, but I can show you like a full one. Okay.
Yes, Raylyn, I will talk about the show, my love.
The show. Yes. Okay, I'm going to cover her name, but you can see here. So I have like her little body. And I talk about her aura and the color of her aura. I talk about how to express, like expression, how they express. This client had a lump in her breast. She had some emotional and cognitive fatigue. So I just kind of do like a whole assessment and I draw up this picture and then we just go through it and we just continue on for an hour.
So you make suggestions just like you and I just did, but then you also really encourage is not like, okay, go take this medicine or go do that. You're not that specific because you're not, you are an RN, but you're not a medical doctor prescribing something.
No.
But what you're doing is really encouraging people to be their own advocates and their own healers for themselves so that they can look into alternatives and different ways they can take care of themselves.
Yes, that's totally it. That's exactly it. I'm not here to say like I'm going to cure you. I'm not John of God. I don't do psychic surgery. I don't cure you, right? But I tap in with you, and collectively we kind of come up with a plan of care. So, and I give you tidbits that the spirit world gives me for tips. Like, here's a book that you can read. Like, I give a list, like, here's some meditations you can do, or yoga, or, you know, whatever they give me, whatever little tidbits they give me, I just pull them, right? Like, and I just throw them at you, like, okay, I really would like you to read this book or whatever, because it depends on where we're going with it, you know? And a lot of people aren't ready to hear like, okay, so I know that your childhood was really traumatic, because I've had people come back to me and be like, you don't know about my childhood. And I'm like, well, I do.
Like, I don't want to set up a session with you because I don't want to know what I'm supposed to cut out for my food. And I don't want to know what I have to do, because it's like work, and that's me having a tantrum. That's my ego having a tantrum where I'm like, no, I just want to do what's easy.
Yeah. And me too.
Oh.
Me too. I want to. I go through that. And you know, when I really start feeling like shit, that's when I start really doing a good job.
Where I am right now, I'm like, sure, let's do this, and I'll try some things. No problem.
Exactly.
Talk about your book, my love.
Oh my gosh.
You told us some about it. So why don't you give us just like, you know, the general gist of, you know, the plot and such.
Yes. Totally. Okay. So Fourth Time's a Charm is basically a book. It's my story. I have been married 4 times, and, you know, I kind of reached a rock bottom in my 4th marriage. And so my husband and I really started on this spiritual journey and opening up and healing our marriage. And so, you know, kind of initially it started out as, wow, I've got a lot of things that I can share because I did a lot of things wrong in my marriages. And basically what this is it's a guide. It's a book to teach you how to get to loving yourself so that you can develop the relationships and the partnerships that you want, whether it's traditional marriage, whether it's partnership, whatever. It is about loving yourself to a space where you can be your best version of you to your family and to your husband or wife, whatever, partner. That's the gist of it. And I give a lot of tools. So it's basically, I map out a pathway and give you the tools that helped me. All of them, well, a great deal of them up until the time of writing. You know, it was finished a year ago. So I've learned some stuff since then. But it's my whole heart and soul.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited to read it.
Yay! I'm so excited for you too. I'm so excited. Yay. So, yeah. So,
and I think Raylyn posted where people can, where can you get it? Amazon?
So, book launch is September 21st. You can get it on you can get it on Amazon. Technically you can now, but I was trying to kind of, a little bit, but, what actually happened was I was initially going to use a Canadian print house because my whole book team is in Canada. Okay. And so I was going to use a Canadian print house. So I ended up doing pre-launch sales to gain the capital to have the book printed and shipped. And then I would ship them out. Well, kind of as it turned out, it was better for me to end up having them printed here in the US. Okay. So in order to print on Amazon, you actually have to be live to order author copies. So launch technically isn't until September 1st, but it is live. So if you want to buy a book, you can. Anybody that has pre-ordered a book, I'm shipping those out this week. Okay. So that's where we are. So basically Amazon. Yeah. In the link that Ray provided. She's so amazing for doing that.
Yes, Raylyn said, join us in the Healing Space community as we study this. Yeah, we're going to be doing this journaling junkies group around Danielle's book. So if you guys are interested and you want to powwow about it and hang out and chat, because Danielle's going to be in the journaling group with us. And you have prompts and stuff in the book, don't you?
I do, yep. There's 13 lessons. Like, for example, lesson number 5 is grace transforms mistakes into wisdom. And so I do a whole chapter on that, on grace and incorporating that into your relationships. And then at the end, we have little journaling prompts.
Yep.
And then you have pages to do your journaling. So you don't even have to get a journal. It's in here.
Yay.
Yeah. And so one of the questions is, are there things in your past you haven't forgiven your partner for? And how can you forgive them now? Mm-hmm. And then you journal on it. Right. Another question, what are things you are afraid of? Wait, what are the things you are afraid you haven't been forgiven for in your relationship? Are you willing to ask your partner for their forgiveness? Don't mistake forgiveness for amnesia. Trust is a difficult thing to rebuild, and it takes time.
Time.
Yeah. So it's really beautiful. I'm really so happy. Another lesson, you can fall in love again. Another lesson, I talk about step parenting because we've dealt with that. Step parenting, it's hard is a lesson. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. This one is my favorite. My favorite chapter of all of them is lesson number 6. You know what's best for the kids? Love.
Yeah.
And it talks about, how to, resources and how to learn how to communicate in a healthy manner, whether you're staying together or not, mm-hmm. For your children, so that your children can learn how to develop healthy, lasting relationships. And I talk about how important it is that we're teaching our kids, these things. And we talk about the Kaiser Permanente and CDC ACE study. There's scientific backing in all of this. It's not just, I use both worlds, right? Like we talked about, there's some spirituality in it, and I talk about spirituality, but I also talk about how science is backing the spirituality. And I do, because it's so important, because I'm a very logical person as well. So I'm not just suggesting that you just go ahead and take all of the tips that I just created in my mind and that's the gold. I mean, come on, I needed it to be legit. Yeah. We needed it to be legitimate because the written word is so powerful, and I would not want anybody to try something or do something that isn't proven. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and to feel solid in that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
For them to feel like they can rely on it, as a reliable support. And unfortunately, a lot of people need that. Our egos need that as humans, right?
Totally. And I do too. When I read it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice reminder. It's a nice reminder to have and to put. Yes. Thank you, Ray. The ACEs, the Adverse Childhood Experiences study.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I just kind of assume everybody knows.
She's seeing the brain for both of us today.
I know. Yes.
So, friends, this is what Raylan reminded me of. So if you've been on Emerge Healing and Wellness and you've been following my videos and lives, you know that Raylan Finnegan and I do a live show every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time called Hi Vibin'.
Hi Vibin'.
We are actually bringing Danielle Hope Wolfe on with us through the Awoken TV network to start our own show. The 3 of us together. So that's going to start on September 5th. It's going to be on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we are so excited because Raylan and I's dynamic, we started High Vibin' because the 2 of us get together and it's just like magic and we just feed off each other. And then Danielle just added to that mix. And as soon as she had that dynamic with her, then I met Danielle and we had that dynamic. So then we put all 3 of us together, and we're all really excited to be able to, it's going to be called Clearing the Lens. And I don't remember what our tagline is. Do you remember what our tagline is?
Oh, shoot. What is it, Ray?
What is it, Raylan? Type it in.
Clear sight. Something with sight.
It had nothing to do with sight. It didn't. About clarity through your awakening or something.
There you go. It was something like that. I can't remember.
Clarity on your path for awakening, right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on.
That's what it was. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Path of spiritual awakening and this spiritual path and the struggles that occur on that path, and like how we can, gain clarity through the experience, but also along the way. So we're going to be sharing those with you. And she put the details in the comments because she's like our admin today.
Thank you, Ray. You're amazing.
Thank you for being here, love. All right. So is there anything else that you wanted to share, Danielle, before we sign off today?
I don't think so. I just think, I guess the last thing is just please know that you have the power to kind of take control. Things oftentimes seem out of control when we're talking about our health and if we have a chronic condition and we're sick. Oh yeah, Clearing the Lens, Awoken TV Network. Yeah. Just remember that you control what you can, and everything that you can control is within your skin.
Yeah.
Control what you can. If things are really terrible and really horrible, we love you, and we are holding a space of love for you. And I know it's difficult, and I've been there, right? Like I've been in the trenches. I've felt what it feels like to die. Well, not to die, but I haven't had a near-death experience, but I know what it's like to be so fearful that I need to sit down with my spouse and have the talk about where my, how my will is set, and, where things are going. And I've had to have those conversations, and I know what it's like to be there. So there is a way out, and you can do a lot of stuff inside of yourself to grow yourself while your healthcare team is trying to figure out a way to cure you. Okay. That's what I'd like to leave everybody with.
Yeah. And again, another reason for this show is to allow those of you who are feeling like you're in that space of feeling hopeless or feeling like this is a life sentence, whether it's a medical illness or a mental illness or, negativity or the history of things that keep hitting you in the face along the life's path, that, we've been there, we understand. So it's not like, even though we might come on here and say, oh, we're feeling pretty good today. And, this is all we've learned. And look, we have all this wisdom to share. We struggle along the way. We have struggled along the way. And, there's people you can identify with. So that's why when I bring different people on, it's see who you identify with. Who are you drawn to? What feels natural? Who feels the most genuine and the person you can relate to the most? And
yes,
to them, and just have a conversation, like a casual, hey, like I was just really drawn to you,
yes.
See what grows from there. So.
Totally. And not everybody's going to jive and vibe,
right.
So that's what I love, that you bring on such a variety of people, of guests, that are just from so many different vast, areas of life and what they do and what they promote and their authenticity. Like, amazing. So I'm so happy to be joining this journey with you guys.
So excited. If you want to see us together again, the next time we'll be live again is on the Awoken TV network on Clearing the Lens, which is going to be Thursday, September 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you have not gone to Awoken TV network on Facebook, please go there and like that page so that you can be updated on not just our show, but other shows that are going to be airing there. I'm having an individual show. Raylyn is. You are as well.
I am too. Yeah.
Own show as well. So we're all going to have our own individual shows. I know mine's going to be Ask the Akash on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, where you can just come and I'm going to be answering questions in the space of the Akashic records for everybody. So
I love that.
I did it a couple times on my High Vibin' show with Raylyn, and I think another show, I don't even remember. And I love it. It's so much fun and it flows so beautifully. And the way that the community members really interact and feed off of one another and support one another is just beautiful, because that's what this is all about, is
exactly.
and allowing spirit to connect all of us and the threads that weave through our lives that we have in common, so.
Totally. Yes, absolutely.
So, thanks everybody for joining us so much. And just feel free to reach out if you guys have any follow-up questions or shoot comments down at the end, and we're happy to come back and respond. Okay. All right.
Awesome.
I will see you guys next week on Live with Laura. I am going to have Daisy Farrell on with me. She is a psychic medium, and I will be here at 12 o'clock Eastern time. So I will see you all then.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.